Thank you so much, Mr. Adesina. It appears that the impact of the distance between Lagos and Abuja is telling on the communication line, but I guess you can hear me now. Is the presidency going to represent the loan request to the National Assembly?
Yes, it makes sense to represent. You notice that what the Senate said was that it needed more details about that bid for loan, and it was not that it rejected it completely. Now, if on the basis of that you do not represent, it does not show you as a serious government in the first place. This is not a flippant government, and before it asked for that kind of loan, it did its homework properly. And if the Senate says it needs more details, then more details will be provided and the bid will be represented.
Is the presidency embarrassed by that single decision by the National Assembly to throw that request back on the chest of the president and say, look, give us more details? Is the presidency embarrassed by that?
It's not about pride, it's not about individuals, it's about our country. The presidency is out to serve the people. Those who are in the presidency are not serving themselves. If they were serving themselves, we could be talking of embarrassment. But because the intention is to serve the people, embarrassment does not come in at all.
There's a lot of, some of the statements is that it was a shoddy job, and this is not the first time we were hearing in the life of this government that the National Assembly will say they're not impressed by the work done by the aides of the president as regarding the issues of the economy. We heard that on the 2015 budget. We are hearing it again on the loan request. We're perhaps hearing it again on the MTEF proposal. We are hearing it again that it is a shoddy job. Is this not an indictment on some of the people that the president has brought around himself?
At best, that is just an opinion. That is the opinion of somebody in the Senate who spoke, and he has a right to his opinion. It does not make it gospel. It does not mean he is completely right. But he has a right to his opinion.
You remember,
you do not know at any particular time what is motivating that person to speak.
Mr. Adesina, you will remember vividly that the crisis over the 2015 budget was not just an opinion. It was a very big issue, and it has to do with the fact that the first document was retrieved because it was not properly done, or some other projects had to be added to it. Is that an opinion? Is that the way the presidency will look at it? And when he said provide us the details in the first place, why would the presidency not provide the necessary details before going ahead to the National Assembly?
At any given time, there are undercurrents, and unless you know what those undercurrents are, you may not have a complete picture of what is happening. It's the undercurrents that you need to understand, and we may not be able to talk about those undercurrents now.
Well, if you talk about undercurrent, well, we take a moment. And when we come back, you talk more about the undercurrent and the details of this budget. You heard what Professor Abubakar Momo has told us on the program. Nigerians need some level of transparency. You will talk more about the looted fund and the recovered ones. Join us again. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Mr. Femi Adesina has been giving us insight into what is happening to the proposal to borrow. That was thrown back to the presidency. But again, the presidency, as Mr. Adesina has confirmed to us, will represent that. But a lot of questions are coming up. A lot of people are talking here on Facebook. A lot of reactions from Nigerians. You probably need to check it out. We are live on Facebook right now, so you can get a sense of what we're talking about. You talked about undercurrent. A lot of people will understand that undercurrent to mean the clash between the executive and the legislature, that the presidency is not handling the politics side of business properly.
I didn't talk of any clash, but yes, when you said politics, yes, I meant politics. But what should be at play now is national interest, the interest of the Nigerian economy, rather than politics. I just think politics is coming too much into play. rather than the interest of the country and the interest of the economy and the interest of the ordinary people.
You heard Professor Abubakar Momon, who says, in the practical sense, that we do not have an economic team.
Yeah, I heard him, but he has a right to his opinion. And before he walked out of the studio, he whispered to me that I know what you will say because I've heard you say it several times that we have an economic team. Yes, and I say it again, we have an economic team. So if he thinks there is no economic team, it can only be his opinion because we know the economic team that we have, headed by a vice president. Then you have a finance minister, you have a minister for budget and national planning, you have a central bank governor in place, you have an economic advisor to the president, you have different kinds of people at different levels. You have a budget, you have a trade and investment minister.
Mr. Additional, we've heard you say all of these, Mr. Additional, but the reality, just if I may come in here, the reality is this. We know some of those who are composed of that economic team, but what some of Nigerians are pointing out is the competence of some of these people, and it's perhaps showing in some of the works and the state of the economy. Some people will say in some other climes, when Nigeria entered into recession, that team needed to have been disbanded in the first place.
It's a subjective thing. You can't talk of competence when you have turbulence. It's like you are in an airplane and there is serious turbulence, and then you begin to say it is the pilot that is not efficient. You are not considering that it is maybe the weather, the atmosphere that is playing up and all that, and the pilot needed to keep his head so that he could steer the aircraft through that turbulence. So it's a similarity that we have in the economic front. Nigeria is going through troubled times, and we need level-headed people who will steer us through that time. If we have all these knee-jerk responses,
some people will say, because of our time, let's quickly round up our thoughts on this matter. Some people will say that they're advising the president to rejig his cabinet. I'm very sure you're not hearing it for the first time. Is there a possibility of that happening in the coming months?
Well, let me refer you to the good book. It tells us that who are you to judge another man's servant? It is before his master that he either rises or falls. The president assembled that cabinet. He has timelines and deliverables for them. So he's the one who can judge and assess them. If he's going to reject that cabinet, it's going to be his decision, it's going to be his prerogative.
Let's close now. Let's close, Mr. Additional. But as we close, a lot of people are wondering, when will the 2017 budget be presented to the National Assembly? And people are wondering, the same thing that happened to 2016 budget may happen to this 2017 budget.
But you also agree that we are recording better timing. It was to have come October 31, but it will come as soon as possible.
A lot of people talk also about transparency. The issue of the monies that have been recovered. Nigerians need to know, how much do we have? If we are talking about borrowing, what of the monies you said we have recovered? Your government has said that we have recovered so many billions for those who have stolen Nigeria's money. But then where are those monies? And we're talking about borrowing again.
What figure are we given? 87 billion naira and $300 million. That's a figure that came through the Minister of Information in June. Now, what does that amount to? It was said that the minister will continuously update that figure, but the figure we have to work with now is 87 billion naira and $300 million. And you know that that is just like a drop in the ocean.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Additional. I hope that I wish that we had more time, but that's how much we can have on the program right now. Many thanks for being part of it, whatever you are watching. Thank you so much for being such a great company. On behalf of the team right here at Channels Television Headquarters in Lagos, I'm Sean Kimbaloye. Bye for now.